The Nusach Nachameno for Shabbat, I always ask myself whenever I say it, why is this allowed? Does it not seem congruent with the spirit of Shabbat? We're talking about consolation.
You have to say something. Well, you can't not mention these things.
No, saying Rachem during the week, and then there's Nacham.
So Rachem is a Lashon of Techina. Nachamenu is a softened version. It's a milder, toned down version.
And the rabbi make reference to why you prefer that Barachamecha Rabim not be in the Nusach, correct? It was in the current
in what's there?
In the printed Birkon of Rachem Adonai Barachamecha Rabim. No, in the Rachem it appears in the current Birkon, but I believe the Rav is removing it, correct? Here in the Birkon it says Rachem Adonai Barachamecha Rabim. But I think
you removed those.
But you removed
those two words.
Yeah. Right, why did you feel that?
Why did I remove those two words?
Yeah.
Because it's clear that it's a later accretion, a later addition. I found also that Chacham Levi Ginsburg also writes that before us, but it's not the original Nusach. There's nothing wrong with it. You can say it, but I don't. It was a Shum Plusur.
Rav, you mentioned the source for Heter Iska, and then Masechet Beitzah.
That Gemara is one source, not the only source. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Heter Iska as it is in Israel today?
I don't like it.
Well, you don't like it. Is it like, would you say it's permitted for someone to use one of these loans from the banks, or?
Hasn't the Rav said in the past that one doesn't even need a Heter Iska?
I think it's mutar to take a loan from the bank. I'm not recommending it, but I think it's mutar. Because I don't think that Ribit Bichal applies to a bank. A bank is a business. It's not a person, it's not a Jew. A bank is not chayav to keep Shabbat, a bank is not chayav to wear tefillin, a bank is not chayav to eat matzah. A Jew, a fellow Jew, and you turn to him and say, can you lend me some money? He's not allowed to take Ribit. You're supposed to be doing it to help you out, not to make money from.
What's the issue?
There is no detra for a bank is to make money. What it basically does, it sells you money, and you pay back more money. What is money? What is the credit they give you? They're selling a commodity. A commodity is credit, is money. It's like anything else. But they're not. It's not a Jewish enterprise. A bank is a business. It's a legal entity. It's not a Jew. I don't think it applies to such a thing. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. So okay, to let them tell me how you run a banking system. I don't know how. So they do it that way. So
why does the Rav not like Heter Iska if the Rav feels that he doesn't need it to begin with? Rav said before he's not such a big believer in the way that they do Heter Iska. No. But if it's not necessary in the first place, so who cares?
I didn't say it's necessary, but those who wanted, but if a Jew, I don't think it's necessary. But all these concepts become very. The problem with these things today is that they're not real. For instance, once there was a famous case many decades ago already, I think, here in Israel, where a certain person took a loan from a bank for some business venture, I believe. And whatever, he did what he did, and he lost the money, or lost some of the money. And the bank said, you have to return the loan. He said, I don't have to return the loan. This is the shtar that we have. And it says, if I don't, if I lose, if I do this, whatever, I am functioning according to what it says in the shtar. The shtar said, I don't have to pay you. And they took him to court, and the court said it's irrelevant. Yes, you have to pay. So tell me how it works.
Rabbi, if Could one make a reasonable argument that the purpose behind us not taking rebate from a fellow Jew indicates that there's a moral issue with that, and that isn't it sort of fictitious and fake to get around that by hiding behind a corporate entity?
So it's not a question of hiding behind. A bank is a bank. That's what a bank does. What's a bank for?
Where would you draw the line from somebody who's giving
from the bank?
a loan from his personal accounts? Maybe he has more money and he makes a business. It's not a real business, but he calls himself a bank. I mean, where would you draw the line there?
It's a question of liability. If a bank goes bust, then many of its creditors will not get their money back, because it's a company limited and they have limited liability. That's the charter. That's how it works. But a person who may have established that bank once upon a time as an individual, he's not liable to pay back, right?
Right.
But if he were liable, then that would prove that it's a private affair. It's not a business. It's not a legal entity. It's your personal property.
So it makes it more.
So
like
if a person owns a store, which is a company limited, and they have chametz in their possession before Pesach, I don't think they need to sell it. The company is not Jewish. The company is not a Jew. It's just a company. But if that company becomes bankrupt, then the person who set that company up doesn't have to pay anyone back. But if it's some kind of a business where it's not really a business, it's run out of a personal account, and that person is personally liable for debt or whatever, then it's not a company, and it's a personal business.
Is the Rav's position regarding chametz being owned by a corporate entity, and therefore, like you said, you don't have to get rid of it because the corporate entity isn't a Jew? Is that a psak halacha which has been enunciated by authorities that you know, or is this unique to the Rav?
It's not. I'm not aware. I'm not aware of others who've said it. Maybe someone has, but I'm not aware.
I heard a Chaim Steinberg
Says something similar.
Yeah. Also
Really?
that I don't know if he was actually telling them not to sell, but I've heard other his talmidim that have said that that's what he had.
Really? That's what he held the same thing? I was not aware of that. If that's true, it's very interesting. I'm pleased to hear it. Are you sure? Are you sure about this?
That's what I heard. I can't say
That Rabbi Steinberg said that a shop or a store or whatever, a company is not chayav to sell.
Yeah, it was like his chidush that a corporate entity also basically.
The same thing. That's what he said.
That's what I heard.
I was wondering whether he said
I heard it
this.
from his talmidim.
If it's some entity and it's not a Jew, then why am I liable for stealing from it?
It's a asur to steal from a non-Jew, first of all. I'm not talking about an enemy, a member of an enemy nation. It's not a non-Jew. It's a asur to steal from him also.
And so from the government you can steal?
Hmm?
From the government one can steal?
It's a more complicated question. Much more complicated. Once when I was accompanying Argon Rav Avraham Shapira from Yeshivat Mekazar up to the bus stop, when he used to live in Gula, before he moved to Kiryat Moshe. I was a young Bahur. Sometimes I would accompany him to the bus stop and ask him questions along the way. And once I asked him, is it mutar to exchange dollars in Mea Shearim, technically the black market? At that time it was supposedly illegal to do so. The law was subsequently changed. It's no longer the case, I believe. But at that time, you were supposed to go to a bank and whatever, you got a lower rate. So I asked him, is it mutar to exchange dollars, go to Me'ah Sharim and exchange dollars for some of these money changes? You know what he said? He said, השאלה הזאת אתה צריך לשאול בבני ברק. He recommended that I ask that question in Bnei Brak.
It could be we could write a book about some of your positions which you've arrived at without realizing that there's certain other rabbis that actually stated the same thing.
To be honest, I was convinced that I was the only person who said this.
I think am I right?
I had no idea that someone else had said this.
I think another one might be when you're holding that during Chazarat Hashatz you should hold your feet together. Stand with your feet together. I believe that I've heard that Rav Yosef Ber Soloveitchik held that way, or at least that he did that.
I don't understand. What do you mean stand, hold your feet together?
During Chazarat Hashatz, most Jews either sit, or even if they stand, they want to say put their feet together. But you hold that you should stand with your feet together. I believe that I heard that Rav Yosef Ber Soloveitchik did that.
Rambam doesn't say explicitly to place your feet together, but you could say it's somewhat implied. But he does say for us everyone stands during Chazarat Hashatz, and it's really muvan me'elav. It should be muvan me'elav. Because during Chazarat Hashatz, everyone is davening, everyone's in a state of tefillah. Where I found this to be said more explicitly in the Orchot Chaim, Rabbi Aaron Milunel, he says this mefurash, that when you hear Chazarat Hashatz, then you're davening for a second time. In which case, it's really obvious.
Could one be mafsik then, or is it not
mafsik
like
what?
If you need to, if you realize you're running late or something, could you leave shul in the middle of Chazarat Hashatz, or
I would think it's only possible to do that if it's a very serious some kind of emergency or something like that. Otherwise, I would think not.
And the whole sugya of afilu melech
Shlomo. Lichora, the same thing should apply. Lichora, it's not clear to me, at least, where would you learn that somehow? Well, the only difference is that you're not enunciating the words yourself with your own mouth, but you're part of a tzibur which is involved in tefillah. It's called tefillah tzibur, and you're part of that tzibur. That doesn't seem reasonable at all. That a person should be able to speak or to walk about or what have you, or check their phone, or whatever it is that people do. The truth is that the Ari says the same thing about Tefillah Shel Shlach Tzibur being on a higher level than Tefillah Yachid. So that also implies much the same.